Hey, are you a mom or dad struggling with your teens and technology? Do they stay up all night past bedtime, sneak it in the middle of the night, or wake up super early in the morning to play video games while they completely ignore you? Well, we're going to bring a new perspective today that will be an absolute game changer for you and your entire family if you give us the next 10 to 15 minutes. All right, well, we're Bonnie and
Thomas Liotta.
yes, and we're the authors of Learn to Speak Kid and Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids. And we bring leadership to parenting. And in fact, we have parents who bring us the most defiant and disruptive child behavior ever, and we help them turn their lives around. Now, with that being said, it's it might be simple to do. It's definitely not easy to do. It will take some effort on your part and it will take some preparing of the mind. But like I said, if you stick with us, this video is going to change your perspective and show you how simple it is. Actually, show you that the video game is your arsenal to gain cooperation. Because I remember when we first met, I was like, I couldn't get my kids to help me carry in the groceries if I was dying of a heart attack lying on the driveway. They just kind of like step over me playing their Nintendo DSs, if you know what I mean.
You're my way, Mom.
Absolutely. And so when Thomas started to teach me how to speak kid, it's called Creating Champions for Life. Man, it was life changing. So I want to start with this post that I saw on Facebook this morning. I just wrote it out. But it says, parents, my teens woke up at 4:40 a.m. to play friggin' video games. I lost my spiritual harmony integrating totally with them this morning after being answered with the sound of grunts.
Mm-hmm.
All they do is sit around on their phones. Getting them to help doesn't happen. Unload the dishwasher, carrying groceries, running the vacuum around. I threatened to get rid of the internet. They don't care. They say they will just use their mobile data. What are you using to stop this insanity with technology? Is there a Wi-Fi jammer? And then there's 252 comments that are all punishment oriented, control based, take the games away, punish them, like ground them, or all of these things. I couldn't print it off all 252 comments, but you get the idea. It's kind of like there's a teen parenting group and you got the blind leading the blind, and we want to take the blinders off today and show them the power that they actually have. So what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I read this post?
Well, first and foremost, I'd have to say, I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, not one parent went to bed last night wanting to create this, let's just call it chaos, first thing in the morning.
And you know what? I don't think any child went to bed last night wanting to create chaos in the morning either.
However, can we deny that it happened?
No, it's happening.
So, what I like about this is that when we might think everything's happening perfectly or correctly, or everything's just something had to make it happen, and we can think of something that's very simple and true. Does this feel like positive or negative? We all know it's negative. So we had to take something negative and add it to something negative, and it created that. So the formula is right there. And so when we say the blind leading the blind, and we didn't choose it consciously,
Yeah, right.
we can't deny that it's there, but it's just off our radar. If we knew a different path, we would have chose it. But I believe that is the missing ingredient. And when I first met you, smart as you are, I just knew that you just didn't know that you didn't know. This
Wow.
option has been around since the beginning of gravity.
Yeah, I definitely was missing the GPS out of Tantrum Town.
That's right.
All right. So let me just say this. When I first met Tom, it was back in 2011. I'd been studying personal development and was in a leadership position already at that time for 18 years. And I learned, and I'm going to share this with you before we wrap up today's video, but I learned the master formula for success in this book. And then I was reading parenting books that did not match what was in this book, but I didn't know because I thought maybe being a parent, you had to have some sort of like special skill that was different than the magic formula for success, called control. Call it brick wall control, authoritative control. But if you look all the way through the ages, you're going to have authoritarian, which is like beating the kids with switches, very harsh dictational
Yeah, don't
parenting.
do as I do, but do as I say,
Yeah,
my way or the
and then
highway.
came along like this authoritarian parenting, where we now know it as like gentle, balanced, detached, peaceful, conscious parenting. Like, dress it up however you want. I always heard the saying like you could put lipstick on a pig, but at the end of the day, it's still a pig. So
Pretty lips.
with pretty lips, so you can put it like a magic bow and call authoritative parenting gentle parenting. It's still authoritative parenting. It's
Mm.
still boundaries. It's based on boundaries and rules and holding to those boundaries and correcting behavior in the moment. And that's what I see here. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna open with this story because it's very similar to what they're talking about. Where my kids were 6 to 12, they were all being diagnosed with behavior issues. My house was complete chaos, but I brought the Xbox into the house.
True.
I provided the Nintendo DS games for a Christmas present.
Yep.
I wanted them to have the childhood that I always wanted, so I bought them all cell phones. So they had all the technology, karaoke machines, computers, like you name it. But when you came into our lives, I noticed that they would do all sorts of crazy things to earn like 10 minutes of playtime on your cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did they have access to Angry Birds on like their cell phone? Would they have had access to Angry Birds on their cell phones?
Yes.
They must have really liked your phone. No. um, so I noticed something the day that they were in the back of the Lexus and we were like driving down the street, and they said, "Hey Tom, like what can I do to earn 10 minutes on to play a game on your phone?" I just assumed that they didn't have Angry Birds on their phone and it was a special game that you could only get on your phone. But what did you actually do?
Well, I asked them a couple questions, why it was important to them. And they gave me the answers because they usually have their story that I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's kind of fun because that's their internal motivation, right?
It's called a
We
goal.
call it a goal.
Yeah,
It's when we know when a
goals.
genius offspring is always learning is to run on goal power. Now, I just asked them a question because kids, as we know, are very resourceful. I heard you say something like, well, I'll just turn off the Wi-Fi. I'll just use my data. You see,
You gotta give them some credit for
they are
having the idea to use their
so
mobile data.
smart. They're like
Yeah,
water. They'll find the crack
correct.
in your plan.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I asked him, I was like, well, love you to have that, and we could make that happen, but could I ask you a question? And I remember she was the first in front. Well, she was the older of the two at the time. And she goes, okay. And I said, what's something you could do that's in the car? Now, between me and you, I knew that there was stuff all over the place. It looked like a little mini tornado went through. It's kind of
Yeah, it
like,
was my kid's back seat in a
yeah,
beautiful vehicle.
instead
Yes.
of the alphabet in sequence, it was like alphabet soup. I was like, what's something that you could do that would put a smile on your mom's face, Jenny? And then there was the little tick tock, tick toss, kind of like, how our computer does that little thing and
Mm-hmm.
thinks and processes.
Yeah.
That's all I did.
Yeah. So I will just say, as a mom, like all of a sudden, like the back seat got really quiet, and I missed it completely. That they had a goal, which means they had like an internal desire for something which matched the success formula, and then you kind of gave them a mini plan to achieve the goal, which was 10 minutes to play on your phone, which was putting a smile on my face.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew internally that they could just clean up the back seat. So they started organizing all the papers, and they actually had Armor All wipes, and they were like wiping down the leather seats and like doing all this stuff. So we get home, and I get out of the car, I go into the house, and I turn around, like the kids aren't coming in the house. So I had to go back outside, and I'm like, "Hey guys, like it's time to come in." And they're like, "We can't." I go, "Well, why not?" And they're like, "Because we're not done cleaning yet." I'm like, "Well, what the heck did you just say to my kids? Like, I totally missed it. So that's why I'm sharing this pre-frame story with you before I get to the real story I wanted to share about my 12-year-old refusing to go to school because he wanted to stay home and play video games. So it's kind of like along these same lines. Now, when you think of success principles, the formula is always the same, right? Like
Mm.
gravity is always the same. It doesn't work differently for you than it does for us, right? If we walk off the edge of a balcony, we're all going to fall, whether you know about it, like it, believe it, or not. There are success principles. And what we're talking about here is like the law of sowing and reaping. Sowing and reaping.
Cause and effect.
The
Yep.
law of cause and effect. Well, they're two different laws, but we'll talk about that another time. Sowing and reaping. You reap what you sow. So my son was 12 before I met Tom, like the year that actually I met you in the spring of 2011. And that year he stopped going to school. He was in grade 7. And he would just not get up. He'd get up maybe every 3 or 4 days and saunter off to school late. Absolutely zero respect. So he finishes school. For whatever reason, they pass him anyways, because in Canada, you can't fail kids.
Yeah,
It's
there's
an automatic pass.
no child left behind
Yeah,
campaign.
correct.
Just push them through.
Yeah, I'm just stupid. So why even bother trying? And he just stopped going to school. So anyway, we go through all the summer. I'm working with you. I see you working with my kids. This Angry Birds playing on your phone thing, like it got a lot of things accomplished in my house, like every time you would come. So that was kind of cool. But the biggest thing is that you saw them. Like you gave them proactive attention, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. But you saw them, you engaged with them, you asked them questions, you never dictated or told them to clean the back seat or anything. You never took anything away, you never yelled at them. You were always calm and patient and loving and kind with them, which was unique to them. In our family, for sure, single mom trying to wrangle 4 kids, it was kind of exhausting. Anyways, September comes. He's now going to grade 8. And, the first week of school, here we go again. The kid is not getting up to go to school. I tried tickling, yelling, bribing. I tried being nice. I tried icicles. I tried like dripping water on his head. Grandma, grandpa, his dad, like, come talk to Jacob. He won't go to school. And like literally nothing worked. He would just get back up and grab a new blanket and go right back to bed. And the kid was like almost 6 feet tall. So like he was heavier than me, bigger than me. There was no dragging him by the ear or making him go to school physically. So I phoned Tom and I'm like, Jacob won't get up and go to school. What do I do? Let's just have the conversation. So I phoned you. I said, Jacob won't go to school. What do I do?
Bonnie, can I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah.
Does he have a cell phone?
Yeah. He has a cell phone.
Let me ask you another question.
Mm-hmm.
Who got the cell phone for him, or better yet, who's paying the bill?
I do. If you're having an aha moment right now, like I had a massive aha moment right there. But like I want to pre-frame here is we've been conditioned to say if you don't go to school, I'm taking your cell phone away. And that's the 252 comments underneath this Facebook post this morning.
Yeah, negative plus negative.
Negative plus negative. So what we're talking about here today is like a razor's edge difference, but it's going to make all the difference. Like you could have immediate results today, just like I did that day. So I knew right away because I had 18 years of personal development and leadership, and I already knew about goal, plan, action, perseverance. So that helped me a lot. But I went downstairs and I'm like, Jacob, you're right. This is your life. I have my life. I have my career. You have your life. And whether you choose to go to school or not, that's going to be completely on you. It's like I let go of control in that moment, and I put the control on what I could control, which was me paying for his cell phone. So I said, the first day you choose to stay home from school moving forward, you're saying, Mom, I'm choosing to give you my phone for a day.
Yes.
So let's take a magnifying glass before I share the other 2 options that I gave him. What's the difference there between if you don't go to school, I'm taking your phone for a day, and me saying, you choosing to stay home from school is your choosing to give me your cell phone for the day. Because a lot of parents, like, I'll say that, and then a lot of like our clients will, as they're brand new, will hear, well, you didn't go to school, so I'm taking your phone for a day. Can
Mm,
you just share the difference of what that means?
good. Yeah. Because you didn't do negative. I'm taking this away negative. There's
Yeah.
that formula again. But when he has that power inside of him to go, I gave you the phone. So I can go to school first, then get to the phone. Positive plus positive.
Yeah.
And it's something that came from the inside out.
Yeah, it gives them an opportunity to have something to come from the inside out. Where if I come
Yes.
in, a parent comes in and goes, well, you didn't go to school, so I'm taking your phone. That's
Yeah.
very kind of
Outside
controlling.
in.
And children do not have the ability to think abstractly. So they don't go,
No.
oh, well, if I don't go to school and you take my phone means if I go to school, I get my phone. They don't have the capacity to see that.
Ding,
So it
ding,
doesn't
ding,
mean the
ding,
same
ding, ding,
thing.
ding.
And it puts me as the parent, it kind of takes the pressure off. It's so freeing, actually,
It makes
this
you
plan.
as the obstacle, the blocker.
Yeah, it makes me the leader, the
And then
empowerer,
it makes you,
plan.
yes.
Cool. Okay, so then I finished the plan. So I was like, in the second day, Jacob, you're saying you stay home from school. You're saying, hey, mom, I want you to phone the phone company and cut the bill off for 2 weeks. And the third day that you choose to stay home from school, you're saying, hey, mom, I want you to stop paying for my cell phone forever.
Mm.
So like the comments underneath the post in the Facebook group were kind of along the same lines. Like, yes, a video game's a privilege. Having data on a mobile phone is a privilege. But it's the way we go about it. You come in, you haven't taught any life skills, you have no proactive plan for them to actually make the internal choice to get up and go to school.
Yep.
They just look at you like you're their enemy. And this is where we get the teenage rebellion and actually a lot of the behavior disorders like conduct disorder and all of these behavior disorders that are happening to our kids today.
That's right. Batteries backwards in a remote. It's that simple.
It's that simple. So I don't want to get into too much detail there. The whole magic formula is in the Learn to Speak Kid book. The formula of where all child behavior disorders actually come from, the master key for defiant behavior, and then the magic formula for cooperation is all in the Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids book right there. And if you go in our description below, we've got a link there for a digital book collection where you can get both books, both audio books for like $27. And you could actually go through all of the content and know the formula, the formulas, all the principles to totally turn your life around in like a Saturday afternoon. But I want to read this for those of you who are leaders, for those of you who know Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Because right here in the desire chapter is the magic formula for success. And it matches everything that Tom talked about. Oh, you want to play on my phone? That's called a goal. Let me give you a plan. Because he says here, number one, fix in your mind exactly what you want. And here it's about money. So fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. So for a child, it's like their goal might be to, like for our toddler, her goal in the morning is to leave the room. So that's her goal. That's what she wants. So what do I want? Well, I want her to change her diaper and get dressed. So that happens before we leave the room because I'm tapping into her internal desire. I'm not making her do it or holding her down like I used to with my own toddlers. Number two is determine exactly what you intend to give in return for what you desire. So Jacob, all you have to do is get up and go to school to have what you want, which is a cell phone, right? So it's like now we had the price to pay. Third, establish a definite date when you intend to possess your goal. So do you choose to have your phone every day? What do you got to do? Share with me in the comments. What did he have to do in order to have a cell phone every day? It's so simple. It's like, wow. Fourth, create a definite plan. So I gave him the plan. So when you hear leaders say, oh, you want a cell phone, little Timmy? Go to your room and make a plan on how that can happen. that's not their job. That's your job as a parent. Like the kids, if they knew how to make a plan to accomplish the things that they want without you, I trust me, they would do it. So that's where the parenting comes into play. We make them a master plan. Number 5, write out a clear statement of what you want. And write out your plan, put it in writing. And then number 6 is that to read that every day. So when it comes to parenting, we want to simplify it. The child has a goal.
True.
The parent makes the plan.
True.
The child takes action
On the plan.
on the plan
True.
that you give them. And then the parent's job is to encourage them through the obstacles, because there will be obstacles. I don't feel like it. Da, da, da. To encourage them through, I know you can do it. I believe in you, little Timmy. You can get yourself to school, but I love you either way.
That's right. So the
What a beautiful thing.
the perseverance part
Yeah.
is we call him the big kid trusted advisor.
Yeah.
To hold the integrity of the truth. Because at the end of the day, if you do none, how much do you get? None. If you do
That's how the
some,
world works.
you get some.
It makes so much sense.
And when you do it all
You get all
by yourself, you get all of it for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's that universal truth that we can recreate in the environment in our home. Well, that kind of follows the whole prime directive of to prepare
Yeah.
or postpone
Yeah.
leaving the nest, but we all have a heart of gold just to protect them every step of the way.
Yeah.
When we can prepare them.
What we're doing here is like we're taking the protection of bubble wrap off, thinking we have to be there, everything, and we're protecting them with life skills.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So we're going to wrap up there. But if you look in the description below, like I said, you can find our digital book collection. For those of you that have been watching us for a long time, we've got a masterclass link down there because we have parents that work with us for a 90-day mentorship program, because it can take that long to switch the mindset of reactive to proactive. And if you've never been taught leadership skills before, well, these are skills that we're not born with. You weren't born with them. And your children weren't born to be a champion, and they weren't born to be ODD either. They were just born, and the environment that we raise them in is going to determine how successful they are in life. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on how to create a proactive plan. So if you want to watch that, you can just click right over there right now to watch it. If you got any value from this video, please do subscribe to our channel. Give us a like, because it helps other parents find this really powerful and life transformative content. And until we meet again, here's
to our
more
parenting success.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.